In this video, I want to share one subtle point about Ashwini nakshatra. Before discussing that subtle point about Ashwini nakshatra, I just want to give some brief about Ashwini energy. Ashwini is the first nakshatra in Vedic astrology and it covers the first 13 degree 20 minutes of Aries. Its main symbol is a horse's head, which represents speed, energy, courage, movement, and the beginning of something new. A horse does not usually wait for a long time before moving. It is alert and ready to act. This is the basic nature associated with Ashwini. The horse's head is also connected with the head and the mind because Ashwini begins at the very beginning of Aries. It represents the first impulse to do something. It's the feeling of let me start. This is why Ashwini people can actually be quick to act, quick to decide, and willing to take the first step when others are still thinking. Another symbol connected with Ashwini is a chariot pulled by two horses. This represents movement, travel, speed, and the ability to move from one place or situation to another. So, Ashwini has a strong quality of movement. It does not like to remain stuck for too long. The main deities of Ashwini are the Ashwini Kumaras, known as Nasatya and Dasra, and they are described in Vedic tradition as divine physicians who help heal, restore, and bring people back to health. Because of this connection, Ashwini is associated with healing, recovery, helping others, and restoring something that has been damaged. The personality of Ashwini can be understood through its strong need to start and move. A person influenced strongly by Ashwini may see a new opportunity and immediately want to try it. They may not spend a lot of time thinking about every possible problem before beginning. Their first reaction is often, why not? Let us do it. This is why the difference between real confidence and impulsive courage becomes very important. An Ashwini person can look extremely confident from the outside because they are willing to act without much fear. But sometimes that confidence is not actually deep inner confidence. They simply do not stop long enough to imagine all the possible consequences. For example, imagine a small child seeing something new. The child may simply run towards it because the child is curious and excited. The child is not necessarily thinking, I have carefully calculated the risks and therefore I am confident. The child simply wants to experience it. Ashwini can have this kind of childlike courage and enthusiasm. So, this is why Ashwini's confidence can sometimes look unusual. They may do things that other people are afraid to do, not because they have more knowledge or experience, but because they are naturally willing to take the first step. To other people, this can look like tremendous self confidence. The difficult side is that this same quality can become impulsiveness. If the person does not learn from experience, they may repeatedly rush into situations, ignore advice, make quick decisions, and later discover that they did not think enough before acting. In that form, courage can become stubbornness or unnecessary risk taking. A more mature Ashwini is different. With age and experience, the person can learn to keep the speed without losing awareness. They still act quickly, but they begin to understand when to act and when to wait. Their natural courage becomes more controlled, and their instinct to lead becomes more reliable. So in very very simple words, Ashwini is not necessarily saying I am completely confident because I know I can succeed. It can be more like I don't know exactly what will happen, but I am willing to go and find out. That is the innocent courage of Ashwini. So this is also why Ashwini can be a very, Ashwini can be very good at new beginnings. When something has to be started, someone has to take the first step. Ashwini naturally likes being that person. Its strength is not always patience or long term planning. Its special strength is initiative. Its special strength is that innocent courage to start the things, the speed, the courage, the healing, and the ability to begin again. So, one important point is that in Jyotish, the nakshatra alone does not completely describe a person's personality. The planet placed in Ashwini, that is the most important. And also its house, its strength, aspects, the ascendant, and the rest of the birth chart all modify how Ashwini expresses itself. So not every Ashwini person will show exactly, the same level of impulsiveness and the same level of what I can say is the same level of confidence. I want to tell you. I want to tell you one important thing. So, let us say you have Ashwini energy in your horoscope. So here, the most important thing is the Ashwini's natural speed and courage can become much better when other planets in the birth chart provide qualities that Ashwini naturally lacks. Ashwini likes to act quickly, start the things, take the first step, and move forward. But speed by itself is not the same as maturity. A person can be very brave and active, but still make mistakes because they act before thinking. So, the influence of other planets in the birth chart can help balance this tendency. For example, Saturn, you have some Ashwini energy in your horoscope, and then I am asking you to look at your Saturn. So the moment you have Ashwini energy in your horoscope, it means that you have some innocent courage to initiate the things, to begin the things. You have that creative spark in you. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be successful all the time when you start the things. So what you have to check is the Saturn's position also. See, for example, why Saturn? Saturn represents discipline, patience, responsibility, and the ability to wait. If Saturn is strong and positively connected with a person's chart, it can teach the Ashwini nature to slow down when necessary instead of immediately jumping into something. The person may learn to think, prepare, work consistently, and accept that some results take time. In simple words, Saturn can teach Ashwini you have the energy to start quickly, but you also need patience to finish properly. That patience and discipline is actually represented by Saturn. So, if you have Ashwini's energy, you have that spark to create or start the things. And if your Saturn is also very well placed, then you have the enough discipline and patience to complete the things. Another planet I want to talk about here is the Jupiter. And Jupiter represents wisdom, understanding, knowledge, good judgment, and a broader view of life. A strong Jupiter can help an Ashwini person understand the difference between simply being fearless and actually knowing what should be done. The person may still be enthusiastic and willing to take action, but they become more thoughtful about their decisions when Jupiter has a very good dignity. See, instead of acting only because they feel excited, they can ask, is this really the right thing to do? What will happen if I do this? You can ask this question to yourself if your Jupiter is also very well placed. So this combination is important because Ashwini's natural quality is beginning, the innocent courage to start something. It has the energy to say, let us start. But Saturn can add the ability to continue patiently, while Jupiter can add the wisdom to choose the right direction. So, together, these qualities can make the person's natural speed much more useful. And another important point I want to mention here is that when this growth happens, the person's original innocent boldness can slowly become real and stable confidence. So, Ashwini has that innocent boldness, and when your Saturn and Jupiter are also very nicely placed, that innocent boldness can become very much, real and stable confidence. So, in the beginning, an Ashwini person may move forward simply because they are not afraid. They have that innocent courage within them. They don't know the consequences, but they have that zeal or anxiety or the curiosity to start. And they may think, I will try it without fully knowing whether they can succeed. This is innocent courage, but it is not necessarily, deep confidence. So, as the person gains experience and also gains some discipline, patience, wisdom, something changes in them. They no longer move forward only because they are impulsive or they're fearless or they have some innocent courage. They begin to understand their own abilities. They know what they can handle. They have learned from previous mistakes and they are less disturbed when things do not go according to plan. So their confidence therefore becomes based on experience and understanding rather than just excitement. That's why if you have Ashwini's energy, also check the dignity of Jupiter and Saturn. So that is what meant by the true leadership. True leadership does not simply mean being the first person to act. An immature Ashwini may say, I will go first, because they are excited and fearless and they have some innocent courage. A mature Ashwini with some good Jupiter and Saturn, they will say, I will go first and I understand what I am doing. If there is a problem, I know how to handle it. So the second kind of confidence is much more stable. So a good way to understand the difference is to imagine two people starting a difficult journey. The first person immediately starts running because they are excited and are not afraid. They may look very brave for outside people, but they may not have prepared properly. The second person also starts the journey confidently, but they have learned from previous journeys, understand the difficulties, carry what they need, and know when to move quickly and when to slow down. So the second person has mature confidence. This maturity and wisdom can come from the dignity of Jupiter and Saturn. So the growth of Ashwini can be understood as a movement from I am not afraid, so I will do it, to I understand what I am doing, I trust myself, and I can handle the consequences. So the first one, that is, I am not afraid, so I will do it, is innocent fearlessness with some innocent courage, right? The second one, which we're talking about, I understand what I am doing, I trust myself, and I can, handle all the consequences. This is all the matured and behavior with some wisdom. That is the true inner confidence. So understand that if you have Ashwini's energy, you only have the innocent courage to start the things. It doesn't mean that you're going to be successful always. You need that Saturn and Jupiter discipline, the Saturn's discipline and Jupiter's wisdom to be successful. So the original Ashwini quality does not need to disappear. Its speed, courage, enthusiasm, independence, and ability to begin are valuable qualities. I accept. What changes is that these qualities become controlled by patience, wisdom, experience, and discipline. then the person does not lose their natural ability to take the first step. Instead, they become much better at knowing which step to take, when to take it, and how to continue after taking it. Right? So, it's Ashwini basically is a kind of, I feel it as a innocent forward movement. And when Jupiter and Saturn strength would also be added, then it will become true stable confidence and leadership. That is something like a natural courage becoming more mature, I would say, but with the help of Saturn and Jupiter. So the person moves from acting quickly because they are fearless to acting confidently because they have developed enough wisdom and patience, experience to trust their own judgment. So, if you're checking a chart and if you're finding a very good planet in Ashwini, it is only a kind of 30% of the greatness added to the birth chart. Ashwini is a good nakshatra, right? And I'm telling only 30%. If a planet is present in Ashwini, I'm sure 30% of the goodness is added. But what about the rest of the 70%? It is actually added by the Jupiter and Saturn placement. Thanks for watching this video.